Dynamic fill is a new way of defining regions on a drawing and applying markups that make performing takeoffs much faster and more efficient, especially on irregular shaped locations. By allowing you to make a large or complex selection faster and creating multiple elements that make selection simultaneously, your takeoff process becomes much more efficient. Selections are made using the Fill tool, which pours a selection inside of any enclosed shape on the drawing. A boundary tool connects open line work to the drawing, creating a barrier for the fill selection for shapes that are not closed. Once the selection has been made, the selection can be used immediately to create a space, area measurement, poly length, perimeter, volume measurement, markup, or any number of these at once. To add a dynamic fill to an area, open the Measurements panel, and then click Dynamic Fill from the top bar. This activates a movable floating toolbar at the top of the main workspace with all of the tools and functions you'll need to extract an area quickly. A great example would be estimating the concrete needed for the parking lot, curbs, and walkways above the building on the site plan. Before using dynamic fill, ensure that the shape is enclosed. Notice openings at the lower end of the parking lot walkway. Also note the various sections that cut off the shape, which must be considered when planning the fill. You'll also want to adjust the settings for the dynamic fill before you begin. Click on the Settings button to reveal the Settings menu for the dynamic fill. The boundary size and color, fill size and color, and the fill speed are all customizable, helping you to better control your fill and work within the larger or tighter spaces, if the case may be. Edge sensitivity determines the sensitivity when detecting boundaries, as varying line weights might not be picked up. Adjust the fill size to about 75% and the fill speed to 10% to slow it down. Then click the Settings button again to close the menu. You can now begin your fill. Select the Fill tool from the Define section of the toolbar. Click inside the right branch of the walkway and hold your left mouse button down. The fill is then poured into an area until it hits the boundaries. As the fill extends in all directions, move the mouse around and note how the fill follows the direction of the mouse until they hit the lines in the content. You can paint over the lines and content to continue filling. Click and drag over the lines to finish up the fill for this area. Hit the Escape key to exit the Fill tool. If you look below the building, you'll see that the fill has gone far on the walkway area. In addition to creating boundaries for your fill, the Boundary tool can also create boundaries after you fill. Select the Boundary tool and create a boundary at the end of the walkway on the right side. The overflow will disappear. If you're unhappy with your selection, you can clear it. Click on the trash can icon to see your options to clear your boundaries, clear your fills, or all of it. Select Clear All to start over again. This time, place the boundary exactly where you want it to align with the bottom edge of the walkway for accurate measurements. Place the fills in the walkway and the curbs above the building. With the selection made, go to the Create section, Create Space, which brings up the option to name the space and define the color and opacity of that space. Other markup options allows you to use the default measurement properties or choose from any of the properties of defined tools of that type in your toolset. Click the Space option and the drop-down menu to find the name. Click anywhere in the document to minimize that menu. Notice that the Space option is now highlighted in blue. This indicates that the space will be created once dynamic fill is applied. Click the Volume drop-down. This shows you the options for the market properties used when creating this markup with dynamic fill. You can choose from the tools, default properties, recent tools of that type, or any other tool in your tool chest. Select the 4-inch pour from the concrete tool set. The checkbox appears selected, and that tool is also highlighted. Next, click the perimeter tool, which will cause you to use the default properties. This will help you determine the length of wood you will need the forms for the concrete Revu. Revu will remember these settings next time dynamic fill is activated, so make any adjustments when you return to it. When satisfied with the selection, click Apply to add the selected markups. When you completed all your fills, click Close. Note that dynamic fill isn't limited to one area at a time. You can fill as many places as you like, as long as the markup used is the same. Dynamic fill is an invaluable tool for performing takeoffs that is particularly helpful for concrete interior finishes, mechanical engineering, and curtain wall work.